On Zoom, a reminder that if you have a question or comment, to put in the chat, and Randy Brantley is monitoring that. And again, thanks to all our tech people to supporting us in this. This is our second presentation of many, and I'm so glad to see you all here today. Let us pray. This is the collect for Koinonia. God of all creation, fill us with a passion for justice and dignity for each neighbor in our community. Guide and support us through Koinonia to follow your example and your command, to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with you. Transform us through your Spirit to become conduits of your love and compassion in all that we do, so we can become reconciled to you and your creation. In the name of the triune God, amen. Last week I wasn't crying, I was hyperventilating. I want to let everyone know that. But let me introduce our speaker for today. Susan Caudle has worked at Culture and Life Center since 1995. She previously worked in skilled nursing facilities in Albemarle, where she grew up. She received a bachelor's degree from Davidson College and a master's degree in gerontology from UNCC. She has served on the North Carolina Adult Day Services Association Board and currently serves on the OASIS, Older Adult Services in Stanley, Board of Directors. Susan has experience as a family caregiver. Her grandmother attended Culture and Life Center for several years. She and her husband live in Albemarle and are members of Cross of Christ Lutheran Church. She enjoys spending time with her family, jogging, and traveling. Susan will be speaking of the challenges and needs of seniors in our community. Please join me in welcoming Susan Caudle.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you all for inviting me to speak to you today, but I thank you even more for considering the needs of seniors. Elder care issue is a big topic. I think it's often neglected in our world today, so thank you for seeing it as valuable and worthy of discussion. I think we all know the older adult population is increasing. That's kind of a given. People are living longer. Health care services are helping us live longer. And so I think elder care is certainly a topic that we need to focus more on. Just to give you some statistics, in Cabarrus County, the population of people aged 60 and older is 18.6%. Those who are 65 and older is 13%, and that number is growing really across the country. Here in Cabarrus County, the number of people under age 18, children, is decreasing, while the number of people age 65 and older is increasing. And across the state of North Carolina, there are already more older adults than younger adults. And I just don't think we think about that or realize that, but certainly our population is aging. So we definitely need to think about it. The fastest growing population, age segment, is 85 and older. So in the coming years, it's going to be a huge issue. And when you look at that population in particular, people 85 and older often have functional declines, they have chronic diseases, their needs are certainly much greater than younger, older adults. Alzheimer's disease is a big issue, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but you often hear about dementia. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia, and it is a huge, huge issue. Right now, there are more than 6 million people in the U.S. with Alzheimer's disease. And when I was in grad school, it was only 4 million. I say only 4 million, that's still a lot. But that just shows how quickly things how quickly that population has aged or has grown. Alzheimer's disease is a leading cause of death. I don't think we think about that very often, but Alzheimer's disease is a cause of death. Again, I'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes, but I just wanted to go ahead and mention that. Elder care is a broad issue, and when I was asked to speak to you, I'm so accustomed to speaking about Coulter Life Center and our services. Of course, that's what's on my mind, and when I try to make that a broader topic, I was thinking, you know, what do I talk about? Well, elder care issues affects every part of an older person's life and their family members. As a disclosure, I'm coming from the perspective of Coulter Life Center. Just like I said, that's my experience. I'm thinking about our services and what we do to help people. So my perspective is particularly for older adults who have needs, who have physical health challenges, cognitive challenges. So as a disclosure, that's where I'm coming from. Again, elder care covers a broad aspect. It covers physical health, emotional, social health. It covers our healthcare system today, medical issues. It covers transportation, housing, finances, caregiving, and I'm going to talk a lot about caregiving today. It covers ageism. I think that's something that we don't think about often, but ageism certainly exists. Our culture is not very well equipped to meet the needs of seniors, and oftentimes I feel like we just kind of forget about older adults and they're stuck at home alone and socially isolated. And then, of course, COVID. I don't think we can talk about anything today without talking about COVID and the effect that it has on us, and it has a huge effect on elder care. Again, I'm coming from Coulter Life Center perspective. A lot of times I think people think, oh, I don't need Coulter Life Center, I don't know anything about that, or I don't need it at this point in our lives. And you may not. But probably everyone in this room is touched by issues that Coulter Life Center addresses. Probably everyone in this room either has or knows someone who has heart disease, high blood pressure, arthritis, cancer, dementia. We probably all would raise our hand and say, yes, we know someone with those issues. Thinking about those issues leads me to caregiving. We are all touched by caregiving. And I don't think we realize that. I don't think our society thinks about it. We deal with caregivers every day who don't even classify themselves as caregivers. But caregiving is a huge issue and the challenges that come with that. Let me read you a quote that Rosalind Carter said many, many years ago, but I think it is more timely today than when she said it years ago. She said there are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. If you think about that quote, we are all touched by caregiving, or we will be at some point in our life. Thinking about my life, I've been touched by caregiving 3 different times. The first time was my grandmother, who lived near me. She ended up coming to Coulter Life Center, but I was one of her primary caregivers. The second time was my husband, who in his 40s was training for a half Ironman as a triathlete, was hit by a truck and was paralyzed from the neck down. Spent 3 months in a hospital. I was thinking the whole 3 months, if he makes it, he's going to have to go to a nursing home. I can't physically take care of him. He's double my size. So I would have never thought at age 40-something I would be a caregiver, but I was. Now, thank God, he's recovered and doing very well now. Not where he was, but at least he's alive and able to take care of himself. I'm also a caregiver to my parents, who are still relatively active and independent, but navigating the healthcare system, managing all of their health conditions is challenging, and so I do what I can to help them. Again, I don't think people think about caregiving until it's thrown at you. Right now, over 11 million Americans provide unpaid care to a family member. That ends up costing over $250 billion a year for that amount of care that people provide. So caregiving is a huge issue. That's where Culture and Life Center comes in. Culture and Life Center is an adult day health care program located here in Concord. How many of you have heard of it or are a little bit familiar with it? Okay, so a lot of you are aware of it. Sometimes I say it's the best kept secret because a lot of people still don't know that it exists. But we are located by the Senior Center on Corbin Avenue. The program started in 1974 in the basement of Central United Methodist Church here in Concord. And the church saw the need for reaching out to seniors. And it was started as a social club, 1 day a week, evolved to 5 days a week, evolved to a health care program. And in 1999, we built our own facility that was designed specifically for adult day health care services over on Corbin Avenue by the Senior Center. So we've been operating there since '99. We're the only adult day health care program in Cabarrus County. And many counties in North Carolina don't have this program, but it is so needed. Every county needs at least one, if not several. It is so needed, and as we have more older adults, we're going to need more services like Culture and Life Center. Culture and Life Center to me is, again, I'm partial, but I think it is the best of both worlds. We provide services very similar to in-home care services, but our services enable people to get out and be around friends, to get the social interaction that they don't get at home alone. Our services also provide the good services that nursing facilities or assisted living facilities provide, the health monitoring, the safety, the supervision, the meals. But the bonus is participants get to go home at night and be with their family, sleep in their own bed, stay in their home, which is what I think all of us want, is to be able to continue living at home. Culture and Life Center provides a variety of services. Health care is a big part of what we do. We're not just a health care facility, but we do provide health services, health monitoring, assistance with medication if someone takes medication during the day, assistance with bathing. Many of us take for granted that we can get in and out of our bathtub or in and out of our shower at home, but often as we age and our physical abilities decline, we need assistance with that. So we have at Culture and Life Center a handicapped accessible shower and tub and provide help with bathing for those who need it. We provide transportation to and from the center, and we've had some folks call it the school bus. So it's like the school bus coming to your house, picking you up, bringing you to the center, and then taking you home in the afternoon. We provide nutritious meals. We serve a breakfast, lunch, and an afternoon snack each day. We provide beauty shop and barbershop services, and that's very helpful to family members. I mentioned I was a caregiver to my grandmother. My grandmother attended Culture and Life Center the last 5 years of her life, and the meals were so important for her. She said she ate so much at the center, she really didn't need to eat dinner when she got home. She also got her hair fixed there. And that helped my mom, who had been fixing her hair or taking time off work to take my grandmother to the beauty shop. So that's a big service that's helpful. We provide all kinds of activities, activities to try to keep our participants, and we call them participants because we want them to participate in the program. We don't call them patients or clients, we call them participants. Our activities are designed to keep them active, to keep their minds active, to keep their bodies active. We have a little motto that we say, use it or lose it. And if you don't use your body and you don't use your mind, they tend to deteriorate. So our activities are designed to keep our participants active and engaged. We do a lot of music activities. We do arts and crafts. We do cooking activities. We do games, certainly bingo. People always ask about bingo, and yes, we play bingo. We do educational activities. But probably the most important thing we do is provide a safe place for older adults to be during the day. We provide social interaction for them to interact with their peers, with friends, and security, peace of mind for their family members. Their family members can work during the day or take care of other issues that they need to address without having to worry about, is mom eating properly? Did she remember to turn the stove off? Did she take her medicine properly? Those services that we help with give family members peace of mind. And again, it really helped my family know that my grandmother was eating properly and taking her medication properly. So I think that peace of mind is very important. Another issue I want to point out about the benefit of Coulter Life Center is we get to know our participants. We treat them like family. It's a very home-like environment, family-like environment. We get to know them. We are often able to see changes in them that sometimes their families may not recognize. Many, many times we have found our participants have a change in behavior, and the first thing we recommend is please have your loved one checked for a urinary tract infection. And many times that's been the problem. My grandmother is a good example. On her second day of attending the center, and she just started attending the center because she was so socially isolated and we were worried about her being home alone. She attended the center the second day. Our nurse did her routine health screening and came to me and said, "Your grandmother's blood sugar is over 400. And I said, "Check it with a different glucometer. That must be wrong." She checked it with a different glucometer. My grandmother's blood sugar was over 400. We had no idea she was diabetic. So we've helped doctors diagnose diabetes, high blood pressure, other health issues that probably would have been ignored if the person had been at home alone. You know, my grandmother could have died from that if she had been left at home alone and didn't get the proper treatment. So our services just make a huge difference in the lives of the people we serve and in the lives of their caregivers. I mentioned some of the some of the benefits of our services, the social interaction for our participants, the family caregivers receive education about. I'm at the 5-minute point. So okay. Our family caregivers receive education about caregiving. They receive social support from other caregivers. We have a monthly support group meeting that anyone can attend, certainly our family members, but even if you don't have a loved one involved at Coulter Life Center, you can still attend that. Am I at the 5-minute point? Is that what you? Okay. I do want to mention COVID. We have, as everyone, we've been negatively affected by COVID. We were closed 3 months during the shutdown, and when we reopened, we saw devastating effects of the social isolation that COVID had on our loved ones, our participants and their family members. Being at home alone, not getting that health monitoring, not getting proper nutrition, it literally was devastating. Since we reopened, we've only had 2 participants pass away from COVID, but we have had probably 20 or 25 pass away because of COVID, because of that social isolation. So COVID has just shown us how great the need is for elder care, for Coulter Life Center and services like Coulter Life Center. I just can't emphasize that enough. I mentioned earlier that I want to talk about dementia, and I know that we're pushed for time, but I do want to give you some statistics about dementia and Alzheimer's disease. I mentioned that it is a leading cause of death. In fact, in Cabarrus County, it is the 3rd leading cause of death, behind cancer and heart disease. We just don't think about that. Alzheimer's disease kills more people than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. From 2000 to 2019, deaths from heart disease decreased by more than 7%. Deaths from Alzheimer's and dementia increased by 145%. That is unbelievable for me. So as our population ages, we're going to see more and more cases of dementia unless some miracle happens soon. We are going to need more services for older adults. We're going to need more services for family caregivers who are very stressed taking care of them. So things that you can do to help or to address this is spread the word. I just don't think people think about caregiving. I don't think people think about how hard it is to take care of family members. Get involved with services that help seniors. We do have opportunities at Coltrane Life Center for involvement. Right now we're not doing volunteering, but that is hopefully an option in the future. You can donate items that we need. We always need paper products, snacks, gloves, healthcare items, that type of thing. Certainly financial support is appreciated. And I want to commend this church for being so supportive of Coltrane Life Center over the years, because All Saints has been very supportive. You've financially supported the center over the years, and it makes a huge difference. You are helping us help family caregivers and their loved ones. So thank you very much for doing that. I have one more quote I want to mention to you, and this is from a family member who brought her husband several years ago. She said, "Coltrane Life Center improved my husband's life. It saved my life." And that's what Coltrane Life Center is all about, is improving and saving lives. So thank you again for your support. I'll open it for questions, but I also want to mention Vern Cahoon's mother attended Coltrane Life Center, and I asked him if he would like to say a few words about the center and about his experience with elder care, because after she left the Life Center, she went to an assisted living facility.
Well, I'm going to be very brief, but one of the other statistics is that Susan may not have mentioned is over the years, we've become people who have two people working in the house who are in both demanding jobs. And my wife's situation is she's in the legal profession, I'm in the legal profession as well. And we were trying to provide care for my mom. We got a house for her to live in next to ours, but she was often alone. And that was just not working for her. We needed a place where she could go, where she could be with other people, cared for and loved, fed well, and we got her into Coltrane Life, and it made a great difference in Mom's life. She was so much happier. Our lives were better because we knew that Mom was being taken well care of. She made friends with staff and other people there, and she was just so upbeat. The staff, as Susan mentioned, was able to see changes in her condition. She had a problem with dementia. In fact, dementia was one of the things that were on her death certificate. I have to tell you that when the time came, Lori and I were just so confused about what to do. The staff said, "It's time, Vern, to get Mom into some permanent assisted living." And they were so helpful, and also so helpful in getting us lined up with a place that provided good care for Mom post-COVID life. So I commend this program to you. I commend the need for caring for our seniors. One of the 10 Commandments is, you shall honor your mother and father. And as a church, I advocate that we do this. God bless you. Thank you.
I'm going to open up to questions, and I'll come around and hold the mic. Okay, I'll just hold it for you.
All right. I'm like Vern. I didn't know about Coltrane Life until social services got in. And it was a blessing for me. And they had a sliding scale. And it gave me 5 days off because I had already been a caregiver for over 2 years by myself. And I had a bus to take her. I wasn't in good shape myself. And my mom had dementia. And I was looking for a nursing home for her. And it's the only picture I have of her made later when they had the Christmas party. They have, and the coat that she got, believe it or not, I went to bed. The next morning, the coat was gone. I never did find it. I have no idea what she did with it. But it was a godsend for me because sometimes I was so tired, I just needed to lay down. And the other thing she didn't mention is, I don't know if it's still there, there was a room off to the side that some of the older people could go off to the side and nap if they were really tired. And when they had to change their clothes and stuff, there was privacy for the residents to do that. And they each had their own cubby holes, so they could put stuff in there that they would need during the day, change of clothes and everything. And that was a godsend. And, they'd let you know to send, what they needed the next day if they used what was in the cubby hole. And I know I enjoyed that piece during the week.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to run over here. Debbie Smith?
Oh, thank you. Except I can't, thank you. I raised my hand as one who has heard of Coltrane Life Center, but I had no idea other than just hearing the name. So thank you for explaining so richly the services that you offer. My questions are, three of them. Is there a capacity limit? And if so, are we close to it? Is there a waiting list? Secondly, how are you funded? And third, is there a cost to participate?
Good questions. Until COVID, we never had a wait list. Until COVID, we never had a waiting list. Just recently have we started a waiting list, and it's simply because of the social distancing that we have to maintain. So before COVID, we were serving 50 to 55 people per day. And some people come 5 days a week, some people come 2 or 3 days a week. So we had over 100 participants on our roll at that time. Those numbers have decreased slightly because of COVID, simply because of the social distancing. So when we can do away with the social distancing and not sit at humongous tables, we'll go back to the small tables and be closer to each other and be able to serve more people. So that is a good question. But if you know someone who's interested, tell them to give us a call. We'll give them a tour, we'll talk about the program, and we'll put them on the waiting list and hopefully be able to serve them soon. Funding is also a good question, and I'm glad you brought that up. Coltrane Life Center is a nonprofit organization, 501c3. So our donations or revenue comes from fundraisers that we do, which are limited right now because of COVID. They come from grants. I do a lot of grant writing. They come from churches like you all. They come from individuals. And they do come from fees. We do charge a daily fee. And you mentioned the sliding scale. There are programs that will help someone pay to come to our program if they're not able to. More than 75% of the people who come to Coltrane Life Center are on one of those funding programs. It might be through social services like you mentioned. It might be through VA if they're a veteran. And some get scholarships. So when churches and individuals donate to the center, we can use that money to help give a person a scholarship. But our rates are still more affordable than nursing home, assisted living, or even in-home care. Did I cover those three? Okay.
Question over here. All right, Alice, Nancy, and Mark.
So is there a requirement that you have to live in Cabarrus County? And also, is there an age requirement?
The age requirement is 18 and older. And so adults. The majority of, I think we all have that. The majority of people who come to our program are older. I think the average age is in the 80s, high 70s or 80s. So it's predominantly for older adults. But we do have some younger adults who have disabilities, developmental disabilities, or they've been in an accident or an injury. But the majority are older adults. And what was your first question? I forgot. Oh, no, you do not have to live in Cabarrus County. In fact, my grandmother lived near me in Stanley County, but there's no program in Stanley County, so she came here. We serve people who live in Mecklenburg. We've even served people who live in Iredale, Rowan, Cabarrus, Stanley, Union. So as long as they can get to our program, we can serve them. There's no county requirement.
So beyond culture and life, can you talk about poverty in our elders?
Poverty in our elders. Well, it certainly exists, and we see it, I think, in frail seniors. I think it's an even bigger issue than in population who would be here, who were older adults, and many of us are older adults. A big issue that we see with the people we serve at Culture and Life Center is when it comes time that they need more advanced care, like you were talking about your mom needing assisted living, that sometimes is a big issue. Sometimes seniors cannot afford it. If they don't qualify for skilled nursing facility, and a lot of people don't need skilled nursing facilities, many people cannot afford assisted living programs. So that is a big issue. And we have several participants right now who, because they live alone and need more support apart from what Culture and Life Center can give them, they need affordable assisted living, but they make just too much to be able to qualify for assistance. So they can't afford assisted living. They're kind of stuck in that gap, and that gap does exist. So yeah, poverty is a big issue.
Okay. Susan, Dr. Mark Robinson, thank you. I got to see the benefit to many of my caregiving patients caring for a loved one, and many stories over the years. There's that famous book on dementia, The 36-Hour Day, written by caregivers, because that's what it feels like. Thank you also for letting our residents come over and participate as part of their geriatrics curriculum. You mentioned monitoring, and my question is, there aren't enough assisted living beds for the silver tsunami of demographics headed our way. And I do think home electronic monitoring, and you mentioned monitoring, do you see that happening anywhere in Cabarrus County? I know there was a program in Maine we looked at that they had a wave of volunteers sitting in front of screens monitoring people at home. They could turn off the stove at certain times, all through electronic, basically the security monitoring business. Are you engaged in any of that now?
I am not. I've heard of that, but I'm not engaged in that. I hope that works well, and I think that certainly is an issue for the future. I think there is definitely a technology barrier that I see with older adults and with their family members. And among caregivers, 1 in 3 is older. So you have older people taking care of older people, and technology it's a challenge for me, and I'm not quite elderly yet, but it's an even bigger challenge for older adults. So I don't know exactly how that works. I think it sounds great. No, I don't. It is very needed. It really is.
Speaking very briefly about the poverty issue that Reverend Nancy raised, my mother's maximum benefit for Social Security combined with SSI would have been approximately $785 a month. That's what she would have had to live on if she didn't have support from Lori and I. And so a large number of people are dealing with just getting Social Security and SSI. They have a living, their living expenses are far outweigh what they're getting from Social Security, under $1,000 a month to live on.
And many of our participants are at that level. Many are. In fact, the majority. When we compare our demographics to Cabarrus County's demographics, income is just way below the poverty level for most of our participants. And certainly those who aren't able to work. We do have some younger folks whose family members work, but older adults or poverty is an issue.
Just to comment on the elderly are being victimized by hackers, taking
Yes.
advantage of through emails, links to just the other day, we're talking on a bike ride. Someone sent her mom an email and she didn't know, regarding her bank account, and it was fraud. I mean, I get taken by these people.
Yes,
And I have most of my
Yes.
marbles still there.
yes.
And, I can only imagine. I mean, and we decided on the ride that maybe it was time for her not to have email. But the devil is out there. These are incredibly cruel people
Yes, they are.
preying on our elderly.
And even without email, it happens by phone call. I think my mom loves talking to people. Anyone who calls her, she talks to. And who knows what she's saying, what kind of information she's divulging. My grandmother, I mentioned, who came to Cultural Life Center, she got a refund from taxes. She didn't even file taxes. Someone had filed taxes under her name. She got the refund.
Your grandchild's in jail and needs bail.
Yes, yes.
I know. All right, we have one more question back here, and then over there.
Well, it's not a question. Several years ago, the Rotary clubs in Cabarrus County felt that there wasn't enough information getting out about Alzheimer's. So we formed a consortium of 5 of the 6 Rotary clubs. China Grove is part of us, but they didn't want to join us, and now they're trying to figure out what to do, and they would like help to be able to get the word out. But we felt that it just wasn't. So we also work with the Alzheimer's Association, and we've had workshops. Right now, for example, there's a flyer out. Month of February has got all sorts of programs that are virtual for people. There's a huge amount of information out there. The problem is the people that need it don't know it really
Right.
gets out there. So we're trying to do that. Our Rotary also raises money to donate for research, called CART program. Our club has raised $14,000-15,000 a year until the pandemic hit, and it was donated to the Rotary. It's a multi-area, zone area, then they give out grants to the smaller people, not the big shots, but the ones who can do some individual research, and hopefully 1 out of 10 may work. So, and the one reason is the advocacy for the person with Alzheimer's is not the person with Alzheimer's. They can't. It's us.
Right.
It's everybody in this room. It's you that has to be able to stand up and speak about it. And what is it? The 4th leading cause of death now, behind what, heart cancer and.
Yeah, and in Cabarrus County, it's the 3rd.
Yeah, so it's, but those things are happening and available, and anybody would like to join us in the consortium, we'd appreciate it, because this is an ongoing program.
I would love to get involved. I've attended some in years past. I didn't know if it was still going. And Rotary clubs have been supportive of Cultural Life Center over the years, so thank you.
Hi. Thank you for all the information. I'd never heard of your center, so
Okay.
it's good to know that something like that is out there. I'm kind of a part-time caregiver for my mom. She has Alzheimer's and is in an assisted living facility, but I handle her finances and, care decisions. You mentioned like resources and support groups for caregivers. I was wondering if there is anything out there for families of people that have Alzheimer's. My kids are young, and I've looked everywhere for support groups and things for them to, to help them cope with what their grandmother is going through, and I haven't been able to find anything. Is there anything that you know of like that?
We have a support group that meets the 3rd Thursday of each month, and you're welcome to come to that. I can give you more information about that. As far as children, that is a very good question. It is definitely needed. I know it's hard on adults. We can read about it and learn about it. I think it's even harder for children. I remember as a child, my great-grandmother had, we called it then, hardening of the arteries. And I thought she was crazy because her behavior was just so bizarre. Now I look back and think, oh, I wish I had known then what I know now. So honestly, I'm sure there are programs maybe online for children, but that definitely is a need. And I'll be happy to talk to you. You could talk to my social worker and me. We'll be happy to help if we can. and come to our caregiver meetings.
So I had a question about your staff. I heard you mention a nurse, I heard you mention a social worker. So what's like the ratio of your staff to the participants, and what's their background for the most part?
The ratio is low. The state says 1 to 6. We've always tried to maintain 1 to 5. COVID has thrown a wrench in that. It is hard to find staff right now. I think that's the case for every nonprofit, every facility, every business. You see help wanted everywhere. If you know anyone who wants to work at Culture and Life Center, please send them our way. Most of the people who provide the direct care are nursing assistants. We do have 2 nurses on staff, a social worker, we have kitchen staff, we have a van driver. We have 24 staff members overall. Some of them are part-time, some are full-time. And right now we are serving 40 to 45 people, participants each day. So the ratio is still good. It's a lot better than in a nursing home or assisted living, and that's not to put them down, but it's just a fact. But we would like to have several more. So again, if you know anyone who's interested, let us know. We do a lot of training with dementia. We're required by the state to do that because we have a unit that we call our specialized care unit. And it is for people with more advanced dementia who need a little more one-on-one care. So the state requires that staff members who work in that unit have special training. We just do the training for all of our staff members because our receptionist deals with participants. Our cook deals with participants. So we just do the training for all of our participants. And I mentioned a lot of training online. Some of you mentioned that. If you're interested in any of that, one of the best that I have found is Teepa Snow. Her name is Teepa, Teepa Snow. She actually has come to Culture and Life Center to do some training for our staff. She has numerous videos, probably on YouTube. That is excellent training. And she might have something for children. I'm not sure. It would be worth looking into. But yeah, like most agencies, we do need a few other staff members, but we really do try to keep that ratio low so that it can be very home-like and get to know the participant and meet their needs. We don't just stick them somewhere and go about our business. We work very closely with them.
We have about 5 minutes left for questions.
Y'all are next door to the Cabarrus Senior Center.
Yes.
How do you tie into the Senior Center? Or do you all do things together, or are you totally separate?
We have done things together in the past. We have not recently because of COVID primarily, but we have taken part in some of their activities. We sit on county property. We lease our property from the county. They are a county agency. We're a private nonprofit. We used to access some state funds for participants through the Senior Center, and now that's moved to social services. So we probably, to be honest, do more with social services right now than we do with, now it's called active living. But yes, we sit on the same property with them. I had a board member one time say, and this is probably not the most polished way to describe it, but it made sense to her, and when she said it, I thought that does make sense. She said the Senior Center serves the go-go seniors. Culture and Life Center serves the slow-go or the no-go seniors. So we're kind of the next level.
Yes, I'm sort of, I don't understand the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's and how those two are.
That is a very good question. Think of dementia like a car. It's a very broad umbrella, just like cars are. Think of Alzheimer's as a Honda. You probably see more Hondas out there than anything else. But Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, just like a Honda or a Toyota or a Chevy. It's the most common car that we see, but you have other cars over here There are other forms of dementia that can come from alcoholism, can come from strokes, can come from poor nutrition. A variety of issues can cause dementia, but the most common one is Alzheimer's. So dementia is sort of the broad topic, and then you have different forms of it or different causes for it.
Our portion of live streaming is going to end. Does anyone else have a question? David Baxter needs to get our live stream for the 11:10 service. Okay. I know, Susan, you have some pamphlets and things?
I do have some handouts. I have some of the numbers about Alzheimer's and dementia. I have brochures about Coulter Life Center, my business card. Again, if you have questions, feel free to call me, email me, stop by the center. We'll give you a tour. We'll tell you and show you more about what we do. I think it is very helpful to see it rather than just hear about it. If you see the place and the people that we serve, it's an upbeat, happy place, positive place. And I just thank you all for your support and your involvement. So many of you are involved in sponsoring things and volunteering and sending the residents and having family members there. So thank you for your connection with us, and just help us spread the word, because elder care is a huge topic that's not going away.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.